The scariest experience I've ever had? Well, let's go back to my days in the most beautiful regions in all of Colombia, Los Llanos. When my husband was still alive, he was an asshole, a huge one. He was raised in a broken home, grew up watching his drunk father beat his wife and cheat on her time and time again. And you know what they say, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. We all believe in the animas of Los Llanos, dark spirits that punish those disrespecting life. Murderers, cheaters, and of course drunkards usually end up punished by these souls. In my opinion, El Silbón might be the scariest of all, also known as the Whistler. The version of this story that I grew up to was that it was once a man who committed murder after coming home from work and finding his father abusing his beautiful, loving wife. Apparently, the father was calling her a whore. He was then condemned to death by his own grandfather for the murder, first by lashes to the back by a group of men, then the sharp teeth of starved, monstrous dogs eating his remains. The second version was that El Silbón was once a very spoiled boy who lived on a farm. He wanted his father to hunt for deer, as venison was his favorite food. When the father didn't, the boy killed him, taking out his organs and giving them to his mom to cook. The mother had no idea, and they ate the father's heart and liver. Once the mother found out, she cursed her son and he ran away. Either way, afterward, he became a vengeful spirit, killing womanizers and drunkards, or really anyone who dared hear his whistle at night. Imagine a giant carrying the bones of the father he killed, wandering during the night in the vast grasslands, appearing to those who have effed up, then killing them. I faced this being. It was a holiday and everyone was celebrating and drinking. My husband and I were newlyweds. He was a good man up to this point, quite charming. The problem that night was that he got wasted, and we had an awful argument. It's funny because I don't even remember what we fought about, but it was the first time he ever laid his hands on me. Right after, he left me to go to the town square, where the fiesta was at its peak, so I went home and started packing my bags to leave him. I learned later that his close friend Andres saw him too drunk to walk in a straight line. He was an angry and messy drunk. Once the festivities died down, everyone went straight home. In the middle of the night, while everyone was fast asleep, a horrifying scream echoed throughout the town, followed by an eerie whistle. Multiple neighbors came out to see what had happened, but when we gathered at the sight of the scream, we realized something atrocious. My husband was lying on the street, covered in vomit and blood, and an open wound in his stomach. I made my way through the crowd and asked him what happened. All he could do was whisper, "El Silbón." We tried to rush him to the doctor, but it was too late. Too much blood had left his body and he died. Honestly, I was a bit relieved after his passing. It made leaving him much easier. I was now a young widow, focusing on myself, making some money, and taking a long break from men. Or I tried. One night, I was headed home after a day of working at the market. I know it isn't safe for a young single woman to walk alone at night, but it was a short commute. I hummed to myself to keep my mind distracted. Then I heard a whistle, and the catcalling started. I turned around. It was my husband's friend, drunk out of his mind. Andres ran up to me and started complimenting me, but in a very aggressive way. Then he asked me if I wanted to go home with him. I told him he was too drunk to form any logical thoughts. I walked faster, looking around and hoping someone could help me. But we were all alone. He kept saying very inappropriate things to me, and when he realized I was ignoring him, pushed me to the ground. I was panicking. He sounded and acted just like my late husband. Then I heard another whistle from a distance. Another drunkard? I had enough. Andres got off me but lost balance and fell to the ground. I looked around, but it was dark. All we could hear was the sound of something being dragged. Then a tall figure jumped out from behind a tree and attacked Andres. El Silbón. I remembered what my family told me growing up. When the whistle sounds far away, it is actually close by. It appeared out of nowhere, tearing Andres into bits and pieces by removing his bones one by one. Then the creature put its sack on the ground and started counting all the bones he had accumulated. I was too afraid to move. I sat there, listening to the sound of the bones clacking. I watched its every move, trying to think of an escape. It was a very emaciated giant, almost like a half-skeleton, half-scarecrow, in tattered farmer's clothes and a sun hat on top of its stringy hair. Looking at the creature made me feel a bit sad, because of its lost, empty facial expression. When El Silbón finished its task, it started whistling again. My heart started racing and my palms started sweating. I thought I was either going to have a heart attack or pee myself. Was I next? But it walked away. I sat there, shaking and relieved once again. I remembered. When the sound of the whistle is close to you, you are safe.